I think because of that, and because of the regulatory landscape and the fear, that normal reaction, as you described, which is just exactly right, that, hey, well, BlackRock's here. We need to pay attention. And I think it's just going to be a lag, a delay. And I think there's still some that don't think it's actually going to get approved, that, Gary's going to pull a fast one and he's not going to approve it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Yusko discuss about Bitcoin, according to Yusko, in light of it and due to the regulatory environment which you are aware of, and the fear that the typical response as you accurately explained that BlackRock is here, we better pay attention, and that it's just going to get worse, to be a lag or delay, and Yusko believe that some people still don't believe it's genuinely going to be accepted. You can be sure Gary will pull a fast one and not provide any evidence. It appears that he tried a lot of different things, filed lawsuits and, rejected applications and received a severe smack on the wrist. So, Yusko said in my view, and Yusko been saying this for really 2 years. The Winkos twins ought to have received accepted when they submitted their initial application years ago, since this asset need institutionalization to be legitimized in order for the average person to recognize that not everyone completes the tasks or devotes the necessary time. Some are simply too busy with life and other obligations, although technology is genuinely hard. Mark was aware that BlackRock was going to come out on top since they rule that world. Indeed, they are the world's largest asset manager with $10 trillion in assets. And they have connections to everything. And lots of things Yusko discuss, so please watch the video to end and share this video, and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance. Thanks.
And the answer is, it should be, right? But the reality is, not yet. And I think it's because, look, the fudsters, right? Elizabeth and Gigi and the rest are doing such a good job with the nonsense, right? We're back to talking about, environmental problems, and we're back to talking about money laundering. I mean, come on. If I wanted you to do me a favor, we'd meet for lunch. We'd have a very nice lunch, and I'd have my backpack and I'd leave it on the bench and I'd walk away, and you're like, hey, Mark, your backpack. And I'd just keep walking, and you look inside and it'd be full of cash. You say, oh, Mark needs a favor. Not traceable, right? Bad guys do bad things. Bad gals do bad things. That's how you do it. That's how the bad stuff gets done. That's how terrorism gets financed. That's how bad people do it. It ain't fingers on a keyboard. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't bad people using digital assets. Sure, there are. But if you want to get away with stuff, fingers on a keyboard is far inferior to Sacco money. So it's just kind of comical. But I think because of that, and because of the regulatory landscape and the fear, that normal reaction, as you described, which is just exactly right, that, hey, well, BlackRock's here. We need to pay attention. And I think it's just going to be a lag, a delay. And I think there's still some that don't think it's actually going to get approved, that, Gary's going to pull a fast one and he's not going to approve it. Look, he tried a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
He filed lawsuits and he, ignored applications and got slapped on the wrist hard. So, my own personal opinion, and I've been saying this actually for 2 years. I said, look, the Winkos twins should have got approved years ago when they put in the first application, because this asset needs that legitimization of institutionalization to get the common person to understand. Not everybody does the work or spends the time. They're busy with their life. And
according to Yusko, Bitcoin is similar to what it is now. And as Bitcoin progresses, so does that the digital asset economy functions similarly to how it did when Mark was a high school wrestler. Mark Yusko said my coach once said, if you want someone to go a certain way on the mat, just push their head that way. It's a beautiful quote. The head will eventually become detached from the rest of their body, observed and looked. Mark have a lot of optimism for this cycle because yes, you have the typical halving cycle, which is one of the most clever code mark. Yusko suppose one of the most clever uses of code mark looking for a word that Mark Yusko actually seen. Because if you think what makes it effective is that it guarantees mobility, why is that significant? Activity attracts movement, which attracts curiosity. People don't care if something doesn't move. Especially, let's back to the Mark Yusko interview.
And some of the technology's actually complicated. But I knew in my mind that BlackRock was going to be the winner. Why? Because they run that world, right? They're a $10 trillion asset manager, largest in the world. They're connected to everything, Blackstone and Carlyle and all of that. And at the end of the day, they weren't going to approve the Winklevoss twins. They weren't going to approve. Look, I have investments in the two people who are ahead of BlackRock. 21 shares, which is Amun and Cathie Wood. So we own a piece of Amun. And Bitwise, both of those are ahead. And I sadly predict they will both get deferred one more time to March. But I do believe that on January 8th, we're going to crown the king on the king's birthday, Elvis's birthday. I think they crown Bitcoin or BlackRock as the winner. And people say, well, why? And how are they going to do that with just one? Like, well, because they're the head of the game, and BlackRock decided that this was lucrative, right? For years, 2017, 18, 19, 20, Larry Fink was out there. This is an index of money laundering.
Yeah, money laundering.
Scam, right? This is he same talking points. And then he comes on TV and says, you should really own some of this to protect yourselves against currency devaluation. I mean, literally, my mind was blown that he said this. I'm like, well, yes, that's truth. And you're speaking truth, and truth is an absolute defense. But the fact that he said that blew me away. But then he came on and said, people are afraid. And they're seeking safe havens like gold and treasuries and Bitcoin. Like, what? So, and as Bitcoin goes, the rest of that digital asset ecosystem follows. It's like when I was a wrestler in high school, and my coach had this great line: where the head goes, the body follows. Yep. You want the person to go a certain way on the mat, just push their head that way, the rest of their body will go. And the head is going to get followed. And look, I'm super bullish about this cycle because you got the normal halving cycle.
Yep.
Which the halving is one of the most ingenious code, I guess one of the most ingenious applications of code. That's the word I'm searching for, that I've really ever seen. Yep. Because if you think about it, what does it do? Well, it ensures movement. Why is that important? Well, movement draws activity, draws interest. If something doesn't move, people don't care. Right. And especially guys, right? We have the hunter-gatherer genetic back to cavemen days. And if it ain't moving, I can't see it. Like my wife says, go get the ketchup. I open the fridge, there's no ketchup. She walks up, grabs the ketchup bottle. If it ain't moving, I can't see it. And like if someone were to walk by, I'd move. That's what we do. We're hunter-gatherers.
You got to move the ketchup, Mark. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. The ketchup's got to move, or I can't see it. But the thing is, if you think about why is there a cycle? Greed and fear. So we had greed. So we had greed during the last cycle because you had the money coming in GBTC. So we went from 10 to 60, like almost overnight.
And I want to talk about Barry Silbert, and I want to talk about DCG, but please continue. Yeah.
But we went from 10 to 60, but the fair value of the network, Metcalfe's law model, was only 30. So greed took us to 60. So actually all the way to 69 in the second, pump.
Yep.
And, 32, 69. So we had to have a crash. And the crash was precipitated by the approval of the futures ETF, which allows the banks to go naked short. Now, why would they want to go naked short? To push the price down to accumulate at a lower price. Well, why would they want to do that? Well, because they weren't in the game yet. So at some point between 21 and 22, the powers that be said, you know what? It ain't going away. And we need to be there. So we need the price to be lower. We need to have the structure that allows, our clients, the boomers, to enter. Because there's this digital divide that I find it so interesting, right? Ask anyone over 35, who's your broker? I don't know, UBS, Merrill Lynch. Why? How much gold do you have? I don't know, 3-4%. How much Bitcoin do you have? Oh my God, 0. It's a Ponzi scheme. Haven't heard that Peter Schiff guy?
I'm 41. Any of that.
According to Mark Yusko, anything may happen. Please understand that Mark mean anything can occur, but why? Thus, the current situation is the typical occurrence of return the price to fair value fair enough. But as of right now, Tim Peterson owns this excellent MeCast legal model that is visible to all, with a value of $51,052 for Bitcoin is still below fair value, even though we're in the 40s. Proceeded, with the hurricane look Sam occurred, and it forced downward all the way. It was ugly up to 165. People predicted that it would not go to 0, which was ugly, so we began this incredible build-up, correct? Because when you're that much below fair value, 50 is the fair value. What happens? Is 15? Who will purchase it? And will you purchase it? If you learned something from this video, then please like this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance, and we will meet in next video. Thanks.